Hi, Phyllis here from southernfrugal.com. Today I'm going to fix some hamburger with gravy, and I'm going to have some bell peppers, green bell peppers, and onions, and I'm going to fix enough to be able to freeze some meals, plus we're going to have it for one meal today. So, this is some ground chuck that I bought a week or so ago. And I wanted to show you this. The ground chuck was on sale. I don't know if you can see this or not. And I got it for $4.63. Now, because of that, it's going to make each individual serving about 74 cents, which is within my budget, because I like for our animal protein to be under $1 per serving. So this works out really great. Now, all I did was just buy like 3 chuck roasts and just got them to grind them up for me. Alright, so I did freeze them, so this is all thawed out now. And what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of salt, because I'm going to be freezing these, what we don't eat today. And I don't want to put too much salt in it, because it gets actually more concentrated with the salt once you freeze stuff. I'm going to add probably just about a tablespoon of teriyaki. That's it. And then I'm going to add to this 3/4 a cup of just dry breadcrumbs. I'll just dump those right in. And I am going to use my hands. So I'm just going to mix that up. Get those breadcrumbs kind of incorporated. And now what I want to do is make 8 patties out of this. Now this was 1.5 pounds, or just a little bit over, really. Alright. Now while I'm getting the patties ready, I'm going to go ahead and heat up my skillet. I want that on medium high, because I want the hamburger to, or the ground chuck is what it really is, to have some brown on it. Just dump that out. And I want the individual patties to all be about the same size, or as much as I can get them the same size. So I'm just turning this into a little square. And now I'm going to use a knife and cut them. Cut it right down the middle. And cut it in half. And half again. Alright, so now I'm pretty well sure that these are divided somewhat equal. Alright, and I've got a piece of saran wrap down on my cooktop, just so I won't have to wash that. So I'm just going to make these into small patties. Now, this works out to be 3.38 ounces in each patty. Now, when we serve these, I usually have a lot of vegetables with them. And today we're going to have some green beans, and these are going to be some of those green beans we got at Aldi's. And I'm going to have a sweet potato, which is I also have frozen and thawed out. And I'll cut that in half and fix that. And we're also going to have some jasmine rice. So in this skillet, I'm pretty sure I can get 8 patties in there. Now, the hamburger freezes really, really well after it's cooked, I think. And it freezes well with the gravy also, and the onions and the peppers. And I've got my skillet up on high, or medium high really. And just a little bit of oil in the bottom of it. Trying to hurry this along a little bit. Now, it's just the two of us, so this is a good way that you can cook when you're cooking for just two people. And that way you're not really ever wasting anything. And the other thing is you don't have to eat leftovers all the time. I mean, even though these are really leftover, when you freeze them and then thaw them out in the microwave, they don't really taste leftover. So what I like to do is go ahead and, cook a whole bunch, and then when you thaw them out several days later or a week later, you can't really tell, that they're leftover. Or at least I don't think you can. And let's see if I can get one more in there. So that would make 8. All right, I'm going to have to use my spatula and get one of those moved over a little bit. All right, so we'll be back. Okay, we have got the hamburgers brown on each side. Now, they're not completely done. They'll finish cooking in the gravy. All right, I'll take these up and put them on a little plate. And this ground chuck was pretty lean, which made me happy. All right, we are now ready to cook our gravy. But first, we want to put the onions and the peppers in there and let them saute a little bit. So I just slice my onion, right across the grain of the onion. And here are the bell peppers. These were previously frozen. So put all those in there. Now turn my heat down to medium now. I'm just going to saute these for just a little while, get them softened up. All right, when that happens, we'll be back. Okay, my onions and peppers have softened up a bit, and they've also somewhat deglazed my pan with the moisture that was in them. So I'm going to take these up and just pile them right on top of these hamburger patties, or ground chuck patties, I should say. And now we're ready to fix our gravy. Now the peppers will finish cooking in the gravy, and the onions too, of course, and the hamburger patties, because the hamburger patties right now are not completely done. Dump those right out on top of those hamburger patties. All right, now you want to make sure that you don't have any moisture in your pan from the peppers and onions. So I just take it and dry it out a little bit. Now, I'm going to add probably, now I'm just guessing now because I don't ever really measure this. It's maybe, I don't know, 1/4 of a cup of oil. Of a cup of flour. I might need just a little more flour. Yeah, a little more. What you want are equal amounts of flour to oil. And that's how you make gravy, using the flour to thicken it. So I need a little more flour. Now I'm going to probably make at least 4 cups of gravy to freeze with these hamburgers and onions and peppers. All right. And I've got my heat on medium. I'm just going to let this flour get a little brown. Now this is just regular all-purpose flour. Equal amounts of oil or grease, whatever you use, to the amount of flour. That's what it should look like. So we're just going to brown this somewhat, and then we're going to add the water to it. And again, with this amount, 4 cups is probably about just right, but if it's not, you'll add more water to make the gravy a little thinner if it's too thick, which I don't think it will be. And I don't ever worry about my gravy having lumps in it, because if you simmer it for a little while, all the lumps kind of disappear, really. Alright, so it's getting brown. When this is good and brown, we'll be back. Okay, our flour has browned pretty well now. Now you can see this, there's some dark on the very bottom of the pan, but once you add the water, it's going to pull all that up. So I'm just going to slowly add in 4 cups of water. Just scrape that bottom up as best you can. We're going to let this come up to a boil, and that way I'll be able to sort of tell how thick it is. And we're going to add the hamburgers, peppers, and onions right back into the gravy. Now right now I'm going to go ahead and add maybe a tablespoon, maybe 2 of the teriyaki sauce. I love this. Worcestershire would work similarly. Now I'm going to add just a little bit of salt in here. Not much, because again, freezing enhances the salt taste in anything, really. Alright, so it's beginning to somewhat thicken up now. I'm getting those little bits up off the bottom of the skillet. You do need a straight edge spatula. Alright, we're going to let that come back to a boil and we'll be back. Okay, we are back and the gravy is just about ready to start boiling. And I definitely am going to need a little more water. But first I'm going to add a little bit of cooking sherry. I just happen to really like the way this makes beef gravy taste. And I would say that's probably maybe 3 tablespoons in there. So I'm going to add that in. And I'm going to add just probably another ½ cup of water. I don't like really thick gravy, so as it cooks, I know it'll be getting a little thicker, so just go ahead and add it in now. Alright, now the bottom of my pan is all cleaned off now. Those little bits are all in the gravy. So I'm ready to add back my hamburger, onions, and peppers. Now that buzzer was for my rice. And so all I've got to do now is heat up the sweet potatoes in the microwave and cook the green beans, which will take about probably 10 minutes to cook those. But I do want this to simmer for about 20 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and put the hamburgers back in. That way they will finish cooking right in the gravy. They're good and brown, see? Good and brown on each side. And again, I'm making a large amount of gravy because I'm going to be freezing servings of these hamburgers or ground chucks, what it is. See, isn't that nice? Nice and brown. All right, now all I'm going to do is put the peppers and onions right on top. Spread this out a little bit. All right. Now we'll turn this down to medium-low and just let it simmer here for about 20 more minutes and we'll be ready to eat. Now, I might have to add a little more water because I definitely don't want that gravy to be real thick. I want it, you know, not runny thin, but a little thinner than it looks to me right now. All right, I'm going to put the lid on this, just let it simmer away for a few minutes and we'll be back. Okay, the ground chuck little burgers and the peppers and onions gravy are all done. Now we're going to come back in a little while and I'll show y'all how I freeze those. Here's the meal. There's our little 3.5 ounce burger and the peppers and onions, rice, that's jasmine rice with a little gravy. Those are the green beans from Aldi's, and there's the sweet potato. I poke my finger right down in them and I put a little sea salt on them and a little of the coconut oil. Now this coconut oil, it actually is hard at anything below 76 degrees, but at 76 degrees it becomes an oil. And let me just say that your body digests coconut oil in a different way than it does other oils, and so now they've found out that it's very healthy for you. So we're eating this sweet potato today as a vegetable, not with sugar and butter and all that on it. All right, there's my husband's plate, and I did poke those little holes with my finger to hold that little bit of coconut oil, which of course has already melted. All right, there's the iced tea. We're going to eat. Now when we come back, I'm going to show you how I freeze these hamburgers in individual, well, servings for 2 is how I usually freeze them. All right, a very frugal meal. We'll be back. All right, we are back. We finished our lunch, and these little ground chuck little patties have cooled, and of course they've got the peppers and the onions in there and the gravy, and I'm going to freeze them. Now we'll have 1, 2, 3 meals. Now the extra gravy, I'm saving that, and I'll just put that in the refrigerator because we love gravy over biscuits. So good, so good. So now the way I do when I get ready to thaw these out is I put them in the microwave on defrost. Sometimes it might take as long as 20 minutes, but I don't let them get completely hot in these containers. What I do, once it's thawed out enough, I put them in a regular bowl and put some saran wrap over it, poke a little hole in the top of it, and continue letting it thaw out. And then once it's good and thawed out, you can kind of stir the gravy around. It'll sort of come back together if it's separated. Now a lot of times it doesn't separate, but sometimes it does. Anyway, and then I just put the lid on it, snap it down, and it's hard to do this with one hand, but I think I can. Now I do have to label these because I can't really see through the plastic. It's kind of opaque. So I go ahead and put the label on it, mash it down. And by the way, you can get labels of any kind in the office department or office supplies section of Walmart. Sometimes I use colored to, you know, mark certain things. But anyway, this will work. Now, what kind of containers? These are, let me turn it around. They're called tag-alongs, and I've had these for a number of years now, but they're okay for the dishwasher or the microwave oven, and you can also freeze in them. And they do keep stuff, there it is. Can you see that? Let me see. Put it right there. There's where it tells you. It will do all 3, both go in the microwave, the dishwasher on the top rack. Although, you know, it doesn't really say, it just says, yeah, it does, top rack, dishwasher safe, and microwavable, reheatable. and then freezer safe. So I don't really like for my stuff to get really hot in these. I just like for it to thaw out, and then I transfer it into one of these bowls, and once everything gets thawed out, I just kind of hit it on reheat a little bit. And to me, warming it up in the microwave like that makes it taste like you just made it. So this will be 3 meals for us. Now here's another little tip or little secret that I use. We don't ever have the leftovers unless they're just whatever I fixed was just super duper good. The next day, I like to freeze it and then, you know, like the following week maybe have it, or even 2 weeks later. It's just much better that way, because if you keep eating something over and over, you really do get tired of it. But this gravy we will probably have tomorrow over biscuits for breakfast tomorrow instead of having a smoothie, because we'll be going to church tomorrow and it's pretty quick. The smoothies don't take that much time, but this is much faster. All right, we will see y'all next time. I hope you'll try this. I've gotten out of that ground chuck. We will have had, this would be 6 servings here, 2 each in each container. And then we had 2 for lunch, so that would be 8 servings. And they, the meat part, and including the peppers and the onions, worked out to be 74 cents a serving. So I think that's pretty good. All right, so there it is. Let me show you what it looks like there. So I put enough gravy in there so that if we have rice when we have this meal, we'll have enough to go over the rice too. And all the peppers and onions freeze just fine in here. All right, we will see y'all next time.